Ah, we finally reached it. Mini shells. Everyone's favourite Warthog overclock. I'm joking, that's not what we're doing today at all. I don't even know what the point of that bit was. Give me a second. We're back. Anyway, welcome back to Overclock Showcase. Today we're doing not gas recycling, gas rerouting for the GK2. What an exciting overclock. Except not really. It genuinely could be considered just a worse version of this thing. Overclocked firing mechanism. There you go. I got the words out. But at the same time, probably not. What you do, so you have 2 less rate of fire than you would with this one, but you don't have doubled recoil, and you also have slightly faster reload time. Suffice to say, gas rerouting is an overclock that I think, well, you could consider it slightly weaker than this. I would say it is slightly better at highlighting the GK2's strength without an overclock, if you know what I mean. Like, without an overclock. I mean, without really increasing the damage in any way. OFM increases the DPS so much that I think it does change the gun feel. I think gas rerouting is very true to the original weapon, but does elevate it a little bit. Where I think something like compact ammo, I don't know if that really elevates the weapon so much. So I settled on 2 fairly simple builds for this video. One of them is Cryo and one of them isn't, which means you could treat one as the crowd clearing version and one as not, but I wouldn't. I would say these are both fairly even keeled versions. The GK2 is a weapon that tends to lean towards a very generalist role, of not necessarily handling super dense groups of enemies and not necessarily quickly handling really tanky targets, but sort of operating at a fairly respectable level of efficiency in all areas in between. And I think both builds do that, but in slightly different ways. This does it in the sort of more, in the way that is quicker on the part of the GK2, because we spec into damage and fire rate hard and use Cryo to facilitate quick kills. So as far as doing that for this weapon, well, first of all, okay, gas rerouting increases reload speed by 0.3 seconds. Yep, and increases rate of fire by 1. Incredible. So I guess I'm quite low down, aren't I? I just chose to use this particular chair. I chose to use a non-swivel chair because I think it might help create a bit less noise. I'm not an audio expert. I guess I wish I was, but oh well. But yeah, so this build we've taken damage and rate of fire wherever we can. So that's in tier 1. So that's 1 more there. Actually 2 more there. So we have 4 more rate of fire than, you know, unupgraded GK2. Armor breaking because that helps, kind of. It helps with enemies. In my opinion, it's pretty good for certain things like Brundles. Brundles are a big one. I'd say shellbacks too. Shellbacks especially because shellbacks can't be frozen. Or, you know, they can be frozen, right? But they're still sort of there. They're not actually frozen. So the armor is still going to get in the way. And then I think magazine size kind of came to me sort of naturally. I can't really say exactly why, but I think it's something to do with the fact that it just sort of, it gives you a lot more leeway with your magazine and like the number of enemies that you can kill before reloading. Like your window, basically, which is important when you have extremely high rate of fire, which means we still get through that magazine quickly. We just have more bullets to work with within our allotted magazine time, right? Which is good for frozen enemies because, of course, they unfreeze. Oh. Anyway, so I did kind of want to use Cryo Minus for this one. I kind of wish that I could have done, but I think it didn't really speak to what I needed from this. I think I definitely needed something that could do some direct crowd clearing. So I took Cryo Boltshark, which included taking Chemical Explosion bolts and Expanded Special Quiver. So we actually only have 20 Cryo bolts instead of 27 that we could have. And I think this actually makes a lot of sense because this thing is both very good at taking down both cryo and non-cryoed enemies, frozen and non-frozen. And enemies that are frozen do not produce the chemical explosion upon death. So we just have a lot of these to handle all of our crowd clearing, and a GK2 that can take those poisoned enemies down very quickly to facilitate those explosions. And so the cryo bolts are really just there for single targets. You know, so it's some really nice breakpoints: 2 for a Praetorian, 1 for a Stingtail, 1 for a Warden. It feels great. I love it. I think it feels really good this way. As such, well, stabilizing arm brace is, I would say it's important, not in the sense of switching between ammo types, which is how I normally use this upgrade, but more so just literally reloading the cryo bolt. So if you need to get off 2, like for a Praetorian, it's just a much quicker process. Radio transmitter module is kind of always going to be what it is. We're not going to be killing anything with direct damage on the Boltshark, so it might still be able to recall our chemical bolts if we miss them. Same with potent special bolts. We don't want fear on either of these things. That's actually bad for both of the bolt types we're taking. So it's just potent special bolts. It's the easy one. And of course, cryo grenades. I mean, this is my cryo scout for the most part. This is a look that hasn't changed in a very long time. And I love him. So let's see how cryo gas rerouting fares and whether or not I think this is distinctly better than using the same build but with overclock firing mechanism. My instincts tell me that if you can get used to the added recoil of OFM, that it is the better choice. But that doesn't mean you should feel the need to use it. You shouldn't feel like you have to use this more, even though it's technically a balanced overclock. You shouldn't. I don't think you should have to feel the need to use this more unstable overclock, because I do think that when it comes to cryo, a cryo build for the GK2, you have quite a few options actually. Actually, you have a lot of options, but I think the fire rate options are generally the better ones. Bullets of Mercy I think is a little bit dubious because yes, it does increase your damage, but I think cryo benefits mostly from fire rate because it's kind of giving the damage already, right? And what I mean by it giving the damage already is that I think you'd rather not waste bullets. It's basically you waste less ammo when you're using cryo, I feel like, and fire rate than you do if you spec it hard into damage, because if you have a really high damage weapon that you're using against frozen enemies, you're more likely to have the final shot against that frozen enemy be somewhat wasteful, I think. But in the case of having a really high fire rate instead, the chances of overkill, I think, go down drastically. Anyway. Right. I was planning to actually tame a grunt if there was one left. Anyway, so we get to do some basic sort of cryo shenanigans now, because I saw there was a breeder in this cave. This very large cave, by the way. Oh dear. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. Right. I didn't need to let myself fall like that. But yeah, I do think this one is specifically the slightly more dubious build because it's specing so hard into fire rate, which is something that we can get so much of from OFM, where the other build sort of takes a bit more advantage of the fact that it's just a very clean and tight version of the GK2. But yeah, sort of just the cryo and the fire rate, it just lets us take care of certain things like these brood nexuses, which is just wonderful. It's just wonderful. I love it. Same with this thing. That is a cave leech. Yeah, there it is. Alright, good. Another brood nexus, though. Oh god, it's just a room full of creatures. Can't blame me for that. I was entirely justified. So yeah, this is definitely going to use up a lot of our cryo bolts, but this is what they're for. It just so happens that the RNG of the mission gave us just a cryo bolt heavy situation. That's all. Who am I to turn down such fruits? Okay. Well, I'm not good. See, the thing about that is, obviously, cryo is good against brood nexuses for obvious reasons, but also the fact that if you destroy a brood nexus while it's frozen, it doesn't like spawn any of the swarmers or rather glyphid spawn that it does normally. That's a detonator, which is a fun one for the cryo, but I don't know if that's necessarily the route we're going to take, only because I've used a lot of cryo ammo already. actually. I think what I'll do, I'll sort of try and pick off some of its the bubbles, and then we'll switch to Cryo. So usually, I think it's 2 bolts and a grenade actually does handle this. I think. Okay, I might not have needed the... First of all, didn't really need to freeze it so much as to just avoid the final explosion. I couldn't tell if 2 was going to be enough, so I just decided to put the 3rd one in. Still, these are the kind of things that obviously, on paper, definitely make taking more cryo bolts tempting. By the way, that's also fair. And is that another detonator or is that an oppressor? But it's fair. If you want more cryo bolts, go for it. I would just say that's probably better on something like Hipster, where you're using blow through as well, because that's like that makes your primary weapon very good at just sort of tearing through the frozen groups of enemies. Whereas here, it's not that it can't do it quickly. Like it only takes a couple shots to kill a grunt, and we got the high fire rate helps with that as well. So it's it doesn't not lean into what we're doing with the overclock, but it's not as proficient at taking down groups of frozen enemies as it's taking down the single frozen enemies. So I don't mind taking the chemical bolts to sort of cover for that side of things. They're going to be a little bit underutilized. I guess I haven't really mentioned the fact that it's an elimination, and that is just because I think that honestly, I think both cryo bolts and the chemical bolts are both actually quite good on elimination. Chances are we'll use a lot more of our cryo bolts even in the dreadnought fights than the chemical bolts. But the point is, the chemical bolts, how they work, it's very easy to just have consistent 100% uptime of the poison effect on the dreadnoughts, and you can freeze dreadnoughts. It's not a hard thing to do. It doesn't last long, of course. I'm sure you will know that, but you can do it. And if you have with a lot of fire rate or a lot of damage in one shot, so we are taking one of those 2 things, you will find yourself having pretty good time against dreadnoughts. And it made a lot more sense for this build than the other one, or at least it made a lot more sense for the Cryo build to go all in on damage and fire rate. Like for example, if you were speccing for elimination, like hyper specifically, right? I would probably say like honestly take marked for death and cryo bolts. That would actually probably be the best thing. Like, that's kind of a crazy setup, but mainly for elimination. I don't know if I would really like strongly recommend it for like general mission types like this. I wouldn't call it like a universally applicable build. I think it's just not too different to something like this technically, especially if you do take the chemical bolts. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll have the opportunity to use Mark for Death again soon when we get back around to doing the secondary weapons. Anyway, there's a Praetorian around here somewhere. But what's probably a bit more important is getting some nitro. Yeah, okay. My nitro situation is now very bad, actually. Not that it's not around. Oh, God. Nitro time. Alright, well, I got all the nitro I needed. And called in a resupply, but then these guys showed up. Right. Oh, that's actually pretty sweet. That's actually pretty good. And the resupply crushed the Praetorian. That's nice. Oh, I was out with GK2 ammo as well. That's not so nice. Right, anyway, let's do one of these guys. Twins? Normal glizzy, okay. So yeah, we're basically just going to have 100% uptime on the chemical bolts. Now I'm going to try and start with something a bit weird, which is trying to freeze it without using a grenade, just to see. Which is going to take it, well, minimum 3 bolts. I'll be surprised if 3 does it, to be honest. Oh. Okay, I think 4 might have been able to do it if I had yeah, if I had just put them all in straight away, like one after the other, which I will test later because now I'm going to do a grenade one. Should be Fairly straightforward. What if I miss? It's still going to work. Yep, okay, good. Yeah. Okay, that's a bit weird. Put one more chemical in. One of these. One of these. And one of these. Oh, I think I might have hit Steve with that. Yeah, that's not going to work. I think I messed that up somehow. Okay, whatever. We'll handle it. Right. Remember, I really probably should have taken a full resupply, like up to full, and I just didn't. So, don't mind. In fact, I'm just going to be a weirdo and just try and use all of my ammo on this. That should last. More than. Anyway, I think that was fine. I know that probably wasn't the most impressive, but not kill. But it's probably how it needed to go down. I tried a couple of different ways of using it. Yeah, I'm not trying to prove a point here about OFM, but you probably would have seen fairly more impressive damage in the actual window of it being frozen than you are seeing with this overclock, but it's still respectable. I would say again, because obviously all my builds are made to be as like all-purpose as possible as far as mission types go. So if you want to build, I would say, if you wanted to be more specific for elimination, I would say take the more cryo bolts, take the more like, you know, normal bolt max ammo. That probably suits eliminations more. But obviously we can still do what you would be doing with that, with all those extra cryo bolts anyway. We just don't have as many to do it with. Twins can be twins. You'll get it right eventually. Anyway, so this is going to be. I'm going to try and be cheeky here and go very much so for the Arbalest. But which is obviously the Arbalest is the most difficult one in this situation because it digs away the most. It's the most sort of awkward in terms of positioning, you know, how it positions itself. Because obviously dancing around things like trying to freeze them as well when you have the other one to focus on, it's not. Maybe I'm just I don't have the highest barometer for like dealing with like lots of things to keep in mind at the same time. My bandwidth is pretty low for this kind of thing. See, that was really. I don't really have an excuse for that. But what happened there is I was not paying enough attention to my magazine capacity. So literally I ran out at the moment that it actually froze, which is pretty embarrassing. Okay, bye. Yeah, these are the most. These are easily the, you know, the twins are the worst by far. Okay, I'm sorry. The twins are the worst by far for cryo. The cryo approach. Like, by quite a significant margin. Which is why I'm not going to use it. I'm going to fuck the cryo bolts, I'm just going to shoot these things. This is where the arm breaking actually really helps. It doesn't help so much against the other two, which is why I probably should have been taking this approach from the start, and I really just made the fight more awkward than I needed to by trying to use the cryo bolts. There you go. Although, what I can still do, apparently, is still, you know, gradually guide myself towards killing them in quick succession, which is pretty much always how you want to handle the twins. Obviously, killing the Obelisk first is usually the general idea, because the Obelisk has the much worse sort of revenge attack. As in, it genuinely feels like, because obviously they kind of do a special attack when the other one dies, and, you know, one is left alive still. But genuinely, the Lacerator ones feel like the Lacerator revenge attack feels really half-baked, and it genuinely feels like it's because they didn't expect people to kill the other one first, kill the Obelisk first, because obviously the Lacerator presents itself so much more so for being just killed immediately. Power of chemical bolts. They left everything. The only thing that was left alive from that was guards. Okay. Anyway, so the oppressor thing there is usually, like, the idea is to drop 2 cryo bolts on it, then from a distance throw a grenade, and then start firing just before the grenade hits the thing. So you're already firing right at the moment where it gets frozen. So it's just maximising uptime, because, yeah, I mean, oppressors, they unfreeze pretty quickly. No secret there. So you have to sort of factor that in. It is actually very satisfying, sort of throwing the grenade and you start shooting right before they freeze. So you're already shooting when they freeze. That is kind of what you want to do for oppressors and dreadnoughts and bolt detonators, generally speaking. Anyway, I kind of have to start this because I've got an abundance of cryo grenades and bolts. So, okay, good. Don't mind getting all 3. That's usually what you want, actually, especially for a video. Getting all 3 dreadnoughts is ideal. Whoa! Can a single cryo bolt freeze a sentinel? I don't know. I think I'm gonna put one on each of them. That'll work, I'm sure. Yeah, that's pretty good. Should be noted, I'm pretty sure that freezing the Hive God would make these shield segments take more damage. I don't think it's really worth the trouble in this phase, because they, you know, look how quickly they go down anyway. Ooh. Right, here we go. Honestly, that might not have been worth it, but it was fun to do. I think it's 5 bolts, I think. Okay. Actually, I will have to resupply during this, actually. In fact, I'm going to try something. I'm going to try and freeze it during this phase. Oh, shit. Okay, well done. Did not take advantage of that even a little bit. Okay. But clearly we only need 2 cryo bolts to do that. So let's try again. Okay. 3. Well, I kind of have to resupply now. That was a bit weird. Try it again. Why not? Maybe you saw the fact that I basically destroyed that shield instantly. I don't know. It's a little bit dubious. Because look at the number of arrows in this guy, though. I don't even really need to freeze it, but I think I will. Is it even going to get frozen? It is. Okay, whatever, that's fine. I think also, by the way, though, the thing I was talking about of, like, you know, starting to shoot just before it gets frozen, I think that is something that's made more forgiving by the magazine size increase. And even if you took that on overclock fire mechanism, the fact that overclock fire mechanism is even faster makes it even less forgiving. So I think this one not being quite so overboard on the rate of fire and taking the magazine size makes that kind of trick more easy to execute. Just something to keep in mind about why you might want to use this over overclock fire mechanism. It's actually kind of nice seeing guards get blown away by an explosion. It's just not that common. Anyway, well, I hope you enjoyed me killing those dreadnoughts. I'm going to go find the final Ebo Knight because I only need one to do it, so I might as well. Alright. And we're leaving. Hey. I find recoil funny in the sense of it stabilizes. Like, if you know what you're doing, if you want to aim at, say, like that rock, you actually just do this. You know? Because it works better for stationary enemies. I don't know. I think it's funny that's how recoil works in games, actually, in general. Well, I feel like Deep Rock is a little bit more forgiving in terms of it has more of a spread limit than guns do in a lot of other games. Actually, I think the spread limit is kind of something you see in a lot of futuristic games. I feel like Battlefield and Call of Duty tend to sort of the crosshair almost feels like it just continues to spread out forever. Be careful because I could die easily here. Lovely. Anyway, so the second build takes, I think, a slightly weirder approach, especially because it's doing something that I like to do with the Boomstick on occasion, which is take it with maximum ammo and use that for crowd clearing. Obviously, you'll see that more so when we're in the workbench. Sort of preempting you for what you're about to see. It is, I think, it is. I guess it is a little bit strange in comparison to this build, which is sort of more sensible. Like, yeah. You take Cryo, you take something that does, you know, a lot of damage quickly. Good build. This next one is a little bit more niche than that. So much so, I think I'm going to try and pick a mission first. Hopefully I can do my assignment mission, because I don't explicitly need to, but it would be good if I could. You'll still see I've got the habit still of not... Because obviously usually, in pretty much everything I do, my standard mission setup is this. You know, Hazard 5 with just one factor of more enemies. But that almost always goes away for Scout. It won't for certain things, certainly like Firebolts, for example. Anyway, the next build is right here. So, first of all, look at that guy. Doesn't he look awesome? But this is a much more generalist build, where it's like, this is going to be used for single targets and just taking down any sort of little thing that we see that just needs it. Which is why I've gone for just kind of accuracy across the board, and just gone for the stun and weak point and ammo. So it's really good at just controlling individual enemies. And then it sort of just packs a bit more of a punch when you're on a weak point, which helps the single targets. So it's very, very simple, very basic. Taking advantage of the rate of fire rather than leaning into it, basically. So sort of going for every other option apart from rate of fire and sort of sustained fire. You know, that's the basic idea of that. And this Boomstick built for crowd clearing, and it is definitely aided by the IFG, but it's still generally pretty good. Basically, take compact shells, as much ammo as possible, and fear tier 5 and the blast wave in tier 4. Instinctually, I always want to use white phosphorus because it's so strong, but here, fear actually works really well, especially for single target reasons. It helps us sort of disrupt and fear Praetorians, which really aids the GK2 on top of the stun. It's just a very nice combination for dealing with Praetorians. Yeah, so rate of fire here as well, because it comes with its own reload buff. So I'd rather to be able to dump out both the barrels immediately, which just helps sort of with the denser groups of enemies and dealing with them quickly. And the IFGs are there to both support taking down really dense groups of enemies, but also helping the GK2, because it's a little bit of a pea shooter in this build, but I think that was always going to be the case with this overclock. One of them was always going to be like this. So let's just go into it and see how it fares. I find it to generally be quite effective, but it's kind of, because of the hyper focus on ammo in this build, it almost stops you from playing aggressively, because you're so weak that you can't. This sounds really bad, but you're kind of so weak that you can't play aggressively because you don't have the DPS to do that. You have to kind of run and gun, sort of play around, disrupting enemies and sort of singling out individual targets that you can kill quickly. But I do think overall the build works. I have found it to struggle against on missions specifically, like Salvage Op. So let's see if I can pull through this time. I do not mind putting myself on the line in these videos for something that I don't have full confidence I can actually do it. I have no problem doing that. I think it's fun. Good amount of nitro out the gate. I swear to God, I had a salvage op recently where it was 3 mini meals and they were all in the spawn room. I feel like that happened. I've had like multiple where it's 2 mini meals and they're both in the spawn room, which is pretty cool because that's the entire mission basically. And definitely ones where it's 3 mini meals and there are 2 in the spawn room. That's well, but I swear I had at least once. I've had all 3 in the spawn room. Okay, actually, the fact that I can one-shot the barnacles is actually pretty nice. Yeah, I'm not going to ignore that. I'll take advantage of that happily. But yeah. This is also one of those builds where it's kind of made so that the ammo distribution is so even that you'll just end up using one weapon more than the other, which creates the ammo disparity. You don't always feel the need to switch, so you kind of just use one thing a lot. You're like, oh dear, I've used lots of ammo. Let's switch to my other weapon. That's certainly how I operate. We'll see if I'm able to sort of kick the habit for the purposes of the video. Unlikely, but we'll see. Okay, I'm not going to let myself get irradiated. Who do you think I am? Homer Simpson? Oh! Probably shouldn't do stuff like that because I know that when it comes down to it, impressions always sound better to you, especially better to you than they do on a recording. Jesus Christ. But also, with how much ammo we have, I'm not going to mind shooting some barbaric with my GK2. That's completely fine. Okay. Right, okay. That was just some fairly clean, even use of the weapons against consistent onslaught of beefy grunts. Yeah, I mean, obviously that was a very flat sort of encounter, though. That was literally just a bunch of grunts, like normal grunts, and that was it. And like that one Tri-Jaw that wasn't even really in the fight. So let's try and hope that things get a bit more complicated than that. Okay, looks like they are already. Okay. Well, we've got our first Praetorian. There's the fear taking effect and the stun taking effect. Because brief lesson on fear. Fear basically makes the enemies try to run 15 in a sort of random direction, actually, 15 meters away from the point of where they were feared. Well, I think the distance actually changes based on like the enemy type, like enemy size. I think maybe something like that. Either way, it's a set distance, which means that, well, it means it's not time based basically. So if you slow the enemy down, it will still have to try and move that amount of distance. Which is why slowing them down, slowing enemies down while they're feared is actually a very good thing to do. Jesus Christ. Wow, okay. I don't have an excuse for that at all. Something you're going to hear a lot, I think. It's something you'll hear a lot if you were to like go back through these videos, because I feel like I say it a lot. Don't have an excuse for that either. I just didn't play around the fact there was a Praetorian there at all.
Bosco, you're the best.
Oh, there's two though. If we're gonna have something for an excuse here. Oh dear. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to do like I don't know how I'm going to do like the uplink parts of this, because I'm just like so on the back foot already. Not good. Not good at all. Barrage infector. Why are they like that? They're like so good at what they do. It pisses me off. Anyway, so I've got to get these mules fixed. Yes, they've arrived. All from different corners of the globe. This is pretty scary. I'm gonna have to do that, I think. Oh, hi. So even without armor breaking on either of our weapons, the Boomstick still does just about good enough job of breaking through Stingtail's armor, for example, which we just saw. I find it generally pretty reliable for that kind of thing. What I don't find too reliable is the fear effect. It did actually trigger there, I wasn't sure. But yeah, I don't find it as reliable as I would like for fear, for the purposes that I'm trying to use it for. I don't know why I put it up there.
Stand back, supply pod inbound.
Oh yeah, just a really general note. I should probably just say when I'm going through the builds, like at all. My perk setup is specifically for active perks. There's generally a formula. I use dash and heightened senses for everyone except Scout, for which I use hover boots and Beastmaster. And that is also a professional recommendation, if you like, as well. I do think that generally works pretty well. Anyway, yeah, okay, I can call them to the drop pod. Right.
The mules are heading back.
Hopefully it should be a one-way road to the finish now.
Remember, you can always deposit on the side of the drop pod.
I need support. Flares up.
All mules are secured. Now to get the pod working. First, establishing a proper connection between the pod and the space rig. Set up the uplink.
So that was detonator.
Objective completed. Make it home to collect your
I think I know how to handle that. Also, I'm pretty sure that the blast... So the blast blade is meant to do 40 damage. I'm pretty sure it does more than that. It's the fact that it can seemingly two-shot grunts, means it should be dealing at least 54. So I think that might just be grunt weakness to explosions, but I wasn't 100% sure if that was a thing or not. I guess it must be. Anyway.
Go down.
Sorry, Steve. Oh, Jesus Christ. Poor guy. Alright. Get out of here. Leave. Probably didn't need to do that, really. Oh, when's this coming out? It's just coming out on the 21st of October. I think, yeah, so definitely the 4th closed alpha update for Road Core should have happened by now. And actually, we should be fairly close to release. Because that would be in Q4, which is when it's supposed to come out. I'm assuming actually there's probably some fairly solid news about that at this point. But if there isn't, I just have to say I don't think there's really any danger of a delay, to be honest. I also don't think I would personally be upset by it, but at the same time, I would in the sense of what I just said, which is I don't think there's a good reason for it. The game is very clearly playable from what we've seen, and it's supposed to be in early access anyway. So they've got no reason to not put it out. Unless they're just weirdly unsatisfied with what they've done. That would be the only reason, and I don't think that would be a good enough reason because playtesters are clearly enjoying it. And it's only going to grow from here. You know, there's going to be plenty more content in it from what it is at now in the currently playable playtest to early access launch. It's going to be at least one more update, and then whatever they make between that update and the actual launch. I don't see why there would be any reason for a delay. So if that has happened, if that's been like announced, then I'm sure I'll have something to say about it. But let's just hope that's not the case. But I don't see why it would be. As you can see, on occasion, it's actually very fair to use this thing against like a guard or something, because the higher weak point chance means if you hit the weak point, it's probably going to get stunned, and that's basically enough time to kill something like a grunt. Oh, a grunt certainly, but something like a guard even.
triangulation completed. Remote control reestablished. Stand by. Sending in fresh fuel cells for the drop pod.
That was fairly clean. Obviously, I've done these before and failed, but I actually had more enemies on, like +1, which I just don't think is really appropriate for Scout, to be honest. But maybe I would have found it doable. It's entirely possible. Obviously, there's a lot of RNG involved in this part of the mission.
Maybe we're not gonna die.
Just like the general intensity and sort of variety of the swarm is kind of just up to luck.
Cells arrived.
So that's, look at that.
Out the charge cable.
Well, do I want to drop it? I don't think I do. I think I want to just like, let's just handle the environment they've just given us, I think. Be better.
Connected to drop pod. Prepare the fuel cells to charge.
A lovely, grey English day. Here in the fair Isles of Britannia. Not that I need to do this, because I guess it's just calling unnecessary indirect attention to world events, but I hope everyone's doing alright, you know. I feel like things are getting weirder and weirder around the world, and I just want to say, like, I assume that most of you are generally alright people. And I wish you well, genuinely, all of you. I hope you did the same for me. Oh, I don't wish these Glyphids well. I don't wish Hollow Knight well. I'm actually, I mean, what I can safely assume is that I've definitely been playing a lot of Borderlands 4 at this point. I actually haven't as of recording, even though it came out 2 days ago as of recording. A little bit of that has to do with waiting for Tyler to be able to get it and play it, and the sort of circumstances sort of not allowing that. But I think I'm still gonna play it by myself as well. But I'm basically waiting for the FFV slider at the time of recording. They have already said though that they're working on that for console, so pretty much as soon as they add that, I'm probably going to buy it. But I'm very glad that it seems to be doing well and seems to be being received well. I think that's what Borderlands needs, and I think that's what Borderlands fans need, because I think it's such a brilliant formula that a genuinely great Borderlands game that you can sink your teeth into. It's a great thing, I think, for gaming, for just people. It's such an amazing time sink. Ooh. What's that? I don't think it was an exploder that actually killed me. This is going to be a bit of a Boomstick vest for a bit, I think. Just for safety reasons.
Stay close to the fuel cells. You're jeopardizing the mission. You need to stay close to the fuel cells.
Yeah, this is definitely failable. Look at those loot bugs. What the hell? No, if I can just get through this segment, I think I'll be satisfied, because I could easily die afterwards. That's entirely plausible. Oh, I did it. Okay. Okay. I mean, seriously, look at them. Oh, it happened. I actually wasn't expecting it to happen. I thought, oh, I've got this. And something just got me from behind. Oh well, I did say this is it is a slightly more dubious build of the two. Still, I hope you enjoyed that. I think as far as gas rerouting goes, I think it's a fair, clean overclock for the GK2. I think it highlights some of its strengths, but also maybe its weaknesses depending on how you build it. As in, I don't think it necessarily rewards the pea shooter approach. I think something like burst fire and certainly something like electric reload absolutely reward going for more ammo for the most part. Maybe not this one so much. That being said, I do think it's a fair overclock to use. I recommend it in a sort of very general sense, but you will need to build it specifically if you're going to Hazard 5. If you want to use it for Hazard 5, be mindful of what you're really doing with it, and whether or not you kind of want to go straight all into damage, because that's probably what you want to do. But it's okay. If you can get used to the recoil, I would say OFM is the better choice. But it is not a pathetic thing either, necessarily. So, that's it for this week on Overclock Showcase. If you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to see more stuff like this, and you want to stay top of everything to Deep Rock and Roll Call, also make sure to click the bell. As always, thank you to our one and only wonderful member, BoxFox Scoot. Feel free to become one yourself. I never say that, but if you do enjoy our content, I'm just saying, there's no expectation there, but the option is available to you. Anyway, that's it. But now we get to find out what next week's Overclock is going to be. It's for the Warthog. So the Warthog, yeah, I mean, we've done 3 episodes already, which means we only have 3 left for the Warthog. Okay, so if you don't know how this works, I number the overclocks from left to right, top to bottom. So that means we have here what? Oh fuck! Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've done 1, done 3, and we've done 5. So it leaves us with 2, 4, and 6. For some reason I've written 2, 3, and 6, but on the Wheel of Fortune, because that's what I use. There it is. Don't even joke, lad. But that's fine. I guess 3 is just going to be 4 in this case if we happen to get it. And I don't mind any of these. And look, we actually happen to get it. Okay, actually, maybe the one I wanted to get the least, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's number 3, which is number 4, which is an overclock. I still don't somehow. Lightweight magazines. Lightweight magazines. Here it is. I have it on plenty of people. Plenty? Maybe I might be lying about that. I think I was accidentally lying to you. I'm sorry. Oh dear. It's just the one. It's just the one. Anyway, lightweight magazines next week. Now it's time to have our gas rerouting themed drink. I mean, it's oily oath, really, isn't it? It's obviously oily oath, but I will have a supporter edition oily oath just to fit the outfit.
Round of oily oats, please. Not that. Darkness is our friend. Yeah.
Oh. See you next time.